HOA Karen hosted a wedding on my land, so I rented it for a mud run and sent photos to her guests. The sun hung low over my 40 acres of rolling Tennessee hills, casting golden rays across fields I'd worked hard to keep pristine. This land wasn't just dirt and grass, it was my sanctuary, my family's legacy, earned through years of sweat and sacrifice. I'd always been a private man, content with my quiet life, until HOA Karen moved into the neighborhood. She wasn't just any neighbor. She was the self-appointed queen of the local HOA, woman who wielded rules like a scepter and saw my land as her personal playground. It started innocently enough. Karen, with her perfectly manicured nails and designer sunglasses, knocked on my door one spring morning, asking to borrow my land for a small gathering. I politely declined, explaining that my property wasn't for public use. Her smile tightened, and I saw a glint in her eye, something calculating. "You'll regret this," she said sweetly, before turning on her heel. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Weeks later, I woke to the sound of trucks rumbling down my private road. Stepping outside, I was stunned. My fields were being transformed into a wedding venue. White tents, floral arches, and catering vans lined the horizon. Karen, in a bright pink pantsuit, was directing workers like a general. My blood boiled. She hadn't asked again, hadn't gotten permission, she'd just taken over. I confronted her, voice shaking with fury. "This is my land, Karen. Get off now." She laughed, waving a manicured hand. "Oh, relax, it's just one day. My daughter deserves the perfect wedding, and your land is perfect. You'll be fine." I could have called the sheriff, but that would have taken hours, and Karen knew it. She was banking on my hesitation, my rural politeness. But I wasn't about to let her steamroll me. As I stood there, fists clenched, an idea sparked, one so bold it felt like fire in my veins. If Karen wanted my land, she'd get it, but on my terms. I'd been approached months earlier by a local off-road racing group looking to rent my fields for a mud run. I declined, not wanting the mess. But now, I pulled out my phone, called the organizer, and offered my land for their event same day as Karen's wedding. "Bring the trucks, the bikes, everything," I said. "Make it loud." They were thrilled, promising a spectacle by noon. By midday, the scene was chaos incarnate. Karen's pristine wedding, with its string quartet and champagne flutes, was drowned out by the roar of engines. Mud-splattered ATVs and monster trucks tore through the fields, kicking up dirt that rained down on white tablecloths and horrified guests. Karen's face went from smug to apoplectic as she screamed at me over the noise. "You're ruining everything," she shrieked, her voice barely audible over the revving engines. I just smiled. "You wanted my land, Karen. Here it is." But the twist came unexpectedly. Among the racers was Jake, a young man I hadn't seen in years, me estranged nephew, who'd grown up on this land before his parents moved away. He climbed out of his mud-caked truck, helmet under his arm, and looked at me with a mix of guilt and resolve. "Uncle Dan, I heard what was happening. I'm here to help." Jake wasn't just a racer. He was a photographer, and he'd brought his camera. As the mud run raged, he snapped photos. Karen's furious face, guests fleeing in their fancy shoes, the bride in tears as her veil caught a spray of mud. Then, with a mischievous grin, Jake suggested we send the photos to every guest tagged in Karen's social media posts about the wedding. "Let's make sure they remember this," he said. We did just that. By evening, Karen's guests were buzzing with texts and emails, each one containing a snapshot of the disaster. The online fallout was swift. Karen's reputation as the HOA tyrant took a hit, her carefully curated image shattered. But as the racers packed up and the wedding crew fled, I felt no triumph. Jake sat with me on the porch, the silence heavy between us. "I should have come back sooner," he said softly. "This land, it's home." His words hit harder than Karen's audacity. I'd won the battle, but the cost was clear. My land was safe, but at the expense of someone else's dream, however wrongly pursued. Karen's daughter, sobbing as she left, wasn't the villain. She was just a young woman caught in her mother's schemes. And Karen? She was humiliated, yes, but she'd brought it on herself. Still, the victory tasted bitter. My land was mine again, but the chaos left scars, muddy ruts in the fields, a fractured community, and a nephew I'd pushed away for too long. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the torn-up earth, I wondered if I'd gone too far. Justice had been served, but at what price? I looked at Jake, who was already planning to visit more often, and felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this mess could mend something broken. Maybe it wasn't just about winning. What do you think, was my retaliation justified? Or did I cross a line in the name of justice? Share your thoughts on right, wrong, and the cost of standing your ground.